my top 5 all-time favorite Nightmare on Elm Street films, which I admit getting to make this list was a lot harder than I thought it would be because, hell, I admit Nightmare on Elm Street might be my all-time favorite horror franchise series of all time. I really, really love Freddy Krueger as a character, as a killer, and a lot of the main characters that we get in these films. There's so much to like about the series, even with the ones I don't like. Still, at number 5, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which this was something that only Wes Craven could have pulled off. Not just because he created the character, this was all his idea, he started this whole franchise and character, but the fact that the Nightmare on Elm Street films up until this point was sort of turning into a joke. You know, the 5th movie was pretty bad, and the 6th film is, for all intents and purposes, damn near a comedy. So for Wes Craven to come back and somehow take Freddy and make him scary again, and the whole idea and the plot behind the movie is so original and so different, and it's what makes it so much more scary. Seeing Heather Langenkamp playing herself in the real world, trying to almost dissociate herself from this series because that's how everyone knows her, as Nancy, and then Freddy Krueger coming into the real world to kill because they're not making any more movies. It's something that Wes Craven, it's why I love and appreciate him as a director. At number 4, Freddy vs. Jason, which I know is technically Freddy and Jason, but I always think of this more as a Freddy film. And not only that, I think this is a little underrated. This is something that I would have loved to have seen as a kid, and then when it finally happened, I kind of geeked out. And I'm not saying it's the scariest movie ever, I'm not saying it's the best horror movie ever, it could have been better, but I still love what we got. I still love that it was nothing more than a fun, over-the-top, just balls to the wall, let's go for broke, let's do everything that we can think of type of horror film. I think that's what it needed to be at the time. And sure, a lot of the main characters are pretty generic or forgettable, but Freddy Krueger, Robert Englund as Freddy in this film, he's having so much fun. You could tell it's almost like he knew this might be the very last performance of him as Freddy, and it was. At number 3, Part 4, The Dream Master. Here's a movie where I didn't find out until years later that my mom took me to see this in the theater. Mind you, I had to have been 3 or 4 months old. I was a fucking baby when I was in the theater for this. I can't imagine that she thought that was a good idea. That's probably why I have a sick, twisted fascination with Freddy Krueger, because deep down in my head, I remember him making that pizza with a bunch of heads on it and eating them. Pretty awesome scene though, by the way. And everything as far as Alice being that really shy girl at the beginning and coming into her own and being a strong character. Sure, she had to get all of the souls of her dead friends, which is kind of sick, but still I love her progression as a character. I always was disappointed that the 3 main characters from the 3rd film would just get killed off here like nothing, but even with that, I think Alice made up for it as a main character. I didn't mind her becoming the main character. At number 2, Part 3, The Dream Warriors. Some people might say that this is their favorite Nightmare on Elm Street film, and I don't blame them because there is a lot going on here. I love the idea of these kids who are having these horrible dreams so they can't sleep, and they get checked into this hospital because their parents don't believe them and they think they're crazy, they think they're suicidal, but it's really Freddy masking that, making it seem like that's what's going on, but he's really trying to kill them. A lot of layers to just how sick Freddy is and how he can get away with what he gets away with. And Nancy coming back was vital to the story, not only because of her connection with Kristen, but what she means for these characters. She's living proof that you can survive this guy, that there is a way out. And this movie was probably one of the first that showed just how creative, how over the top you can get with some of these dreams. But not only that, this was the first film to really turn Freddy into that pop culture icon that he became. "Welcome to prime time, bitch" will always be the most memorable quote of this film. Now, at number 1 for my all-time favorite Nightmare on Elm Street film, it's not a surprise, the original. I love the original, not just because it is the original, not just because it's a classic, but because I just love the story. I love meeting this group at the beginning, and that we see Tina, who we think is the main character, but no, she gets killed off in an insanely brutal and vicious way, dragged up along the walls and the ceilings. I always cringe seeing her die. And then Nancy, being the actual main character, Heather Langenkamp, is perfect for this role. There can't be another Nancy. I know the remake happened, but there is no other Nancy. Heather Langenkamp just embodies what Nancy is. That strength. Just how she's willing to defy Freddy and stand up to him and prove that he's not shit. The ending when she sets up the house for booby traps and she's completely prepared and ready to fight is something that you didn't see back then in horror films. You didn't see a character who was willing to go head on. Still, to this day, this film contains what is possibly my all-time favorite kill in any horror film. Johnny Depp getting sucked into the bed and the pool of blood going to the ceiling. I love that scene. So guys, let me know in the comments below not only what do you think of my list, but what is your all-time favorite Nightmare on Elm Street film. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later!